The colonial rule brought contradictions, oppression alongside reform. Practices like sati, child marriage, and parda were condemned by colonial administrators, but reform often saved political ends. Was this liberation or redefinition of subjugation? At the same time, India had its own traditions of female agency, from Gargi and Maitri in Vedic texts to the Bhakti saints like Mirabai. Could these famous indigenous currents have evolved into a feminist awakening without colonial influence? Tonight, we will debate whether colonialism was a catalyst or a constraint, and whether Indian feminism might have unfolded differently in an uncolonized world. Okay, so before we start, I'm going to roll out a poll asking which sides are you guys on. Please respond to it. So I've rolled out the poll. Please respond to it.
Have you rolled it out in the Google Meet?
Yes.
I don't see any.
Go to the poll section. If you are joining from laptop, there are 9 dots. Go there. You'll find.
Yes, poll section is open, but then there is nothing. There's no poll.
Okay, okay, just a minute.
It
Yeah.
has appeared. It has appeared.
Okay, everybody, please vote in the poll. I see 13 people who have registered for it and only 5 votes so far. Please vote so that we can start the session without any delay. To Shashwat, yeah, the motion is quite like that. The topic is feminism without colonialism. Would Indian women have gained rights sooner or later? By that we mean if colonialism wasn't there, then would Indian women would have gained rights before the time frame where Indian women gain rights with colonialism or after? Okay, that is the topic. Okay, I have 7 votes so far. I'll wait 1 more minute and then I'll start the debate. If you're joining through your laptop, then please click on 9 dots and go and vote there. Click on the 9 dots, go to the poll section, you'll be able to see a poll. Okay, guys. Okay, we have 10 votes. We can proceed with it. I'm ending the poll. Looks like we have a lot of against the motion speakers. They can, but I'll suggest that please do not read out from a paper. Try to bring your essence into the debate. I mean, it's not a very good practice to read out from somewhere. Okay. So, you guys can start raising hands. I see a lot of against the motion people, 8 people, and we have 2 people for the motion. So, um, it's a very way off. The ratio is way off. So, okay. So first for the motion people, both of you will start speaking. You will be given 2 to 3 minutes. 3 minutes you'll be given for your opening speech. So please start raising your hands. The 2 people who have voted for the motion, can you guys start raising your hands? Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Actually, I wanted to clarify one thing. Like, I've joined late. So, what is the for the motion and what is against the motion? Like, what is the topics? Or like, what we need to speak for the motion? Like, we need to support it, or like what?
Somebody was presenting it. Where is Anne? She was presenting the topic. Never mind. So the topic is feminism without colonialism. Okay. Which means like would Indian women have gained rights sooner or later? Like if there was not colonialism, then would have Indian women gained rights sooner, or would have they gained rights later? Okay. For the motion is the people who want to speak that like feminism without colonialism, as in the Indian woman would have gained rights later. Against the motion is Indian women would have gained rights sooner. Okay.
Okay, so like for the motion means that we're trying to say that if colonialism is there, then they would have gained rights earlier, basically. Yeah,
I said the opposite. I said that
got it.
I said that, like, for the motion is basically supporting colonialism, that feminism, like, colonialism was good for feminism. With colonialism, we received feminism quite early. And against the motion is like against colonialism. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So please start raising hands, everybody who are going to speak for the motion, which is for colonialism.
Can you clarify, like, if I am speaking for the motion, it means that if colonialism wasn't there, the rights would have been gained earlier, right?
No, that is against the motion. For the motion is supporting colonialism. Got
Okay,
it?
okay, okay, got it. Yes, yes, yes.
So people who are going to speak for the motion, please start raising your hands. We have one speaker. Okay, Shaurya, go ahead.
I need to deliver the speech for how long?
3 minutes. Wait a minute, let me set the timer. Okay, your time starts now.
So if colonialism wouldn't have been there, then let's look at what the situation would have been. More of the Islamic influence with the onset of Mughal dynasty, followed by more amount of sati pratha and other drastic practices which were going on. So what colonialism gave us, we always focus upon what it took from us. It took our liberty, it took us our culture, but did it actually? Or what I would like to perceive from my view is that it actually protected a woman. It basically in a way, abolished Sati Pratha. It allowed people like Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Dr. Ambedkar and other various people who fought for those who are discriminated or those who are seen as lower than other to have their voice. So yeah, with that view in mind, I would very strongly say that colonialism, if it wouldn't have been there, then the issue of feminism would have come much more later on. Because they, as Britishers, with their ideology, they brought us the fact that women have to be also treated in a way a man is being treated. They allowed us to see it from a viewpoint that everyone is equal without any discrimination on the basis of their gender. Plus, they also allowed education to be seen as a right available for everyone, which was quite necessary for the empowerment of women. Because feminism is always requires a it always requires to be supported by empowerment. Now, coming upon some other facts, like if colonialism, like seeing it from a deeper perspective, like if colonialism, if we focus upon the areas which were under colonialism in the starting, like Bengal and Madras, over there, the women had much more right than areas which came under colonialism in the latter part, like Awadh and all. And this clearly shows us that colonialism was followed by feminism uprising coming much more beforehand. And maybe that is the reason why when we got our independence, we were the first country to put forward the idea of equal voting rights for women. Even America took around 60 years after gaining independence to recognize women as an equal voter, which India did on the very first go because most of the part of its constitution came from the British Constitution. Our ideology, our basic machinery on the basis of which our country got is governed till now is basically from the British infrastructure and the British mentality. So thus, even the post-independence time in a way proves that colonialism was a way which kindled feminism uprising in a much more better way, which couldn't have been possible on the other way around. Plus, also focusing upon is the time up?
Yeah, the timer is up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so can we do we have a next speaker? Okay, Shashwat. First, you please say which side you're going to be speaking for, and after that, please start speaking. Just a minute, I'll assign you a time.
Actually, I was thinking going against the motion, but I'm a bit confused, and I think I more or less have a neutral view that feminism in India would have been around the same time if regardless of colonialism or.
Sadly, that is not a like you cannot
Yeah,
choose.
I understand, but it is so confusing. Like
It's a debate,
the
na? If
topic
it
was.
were a discussion, then you would have been able to choose that side.
Ah,
You have to choose one side. Can you make the decision quick?
like if I am against the motion, so what is exactly I'm going to speak about?
That you should decide, I think.
No, no, like I should I support colonialism, or should I speak against the colony that it should not have been here?
Okay, I'll explain it again. For the motion means colonialism had a positive impact on feminism and it caused positive transformation for women. Against the motion means if colonialism was not there, then women would have gained rights much earlier and progressed better.
Okay, okay, I will then go for the motion.
Okay, so just a minute, I'll assign you the time. You may start now.
Okay. So hi everyone. I'm going for the motion, and for my speech, I would like to draw a comparative description of the societies that existed across the world, and I want to draw a conclusion and relate them to India because at the end of at the end of the talk, colonialism was all about another country's culture that was imposed onto the India. Now, in context of India, I think historically, if we go through the historical points, that in Vedic traditions, often like Isha already mentioned, like women like Gargi Maitri, who publicly debated with the male counterparts without being sidelined or treated as someone who has not as much as say as the other, or treated whose opinions were treated unvaluable in contrast to the other societies across the world. If we go back 3000, most of the society as we know of didn't even exist at that time. So I think if in that those time it was not such a taboo key women should have been bounded within the houses or to not be treated as equals, and has been observed that even the upnayan process, that is the jane we often call, have been awarded to the females because it is the basic procedures to read the Vedas, and they were often addressed as Brahma Vadini. So it shows that in traditional and Indian society in ancient time, it did not see any such major hard line descriptions of male or female in terms of political spheres or academic spheres. But as India went under the occupations and invasions from across the world, their traditions and cultures were brought on to the India. Some of the Chinese monks and people like Fa Hen and Zhuan Zhang, who visited India, describe Indian society where women were often available in the public spaces. They were chiefs of the village, and I'm talking about the 5th century, or chiefs of the villages, and they took actually part. They took participation in the daily activities, be it political, academic, or any sections of the society. They were almost present everywhere. In contrast to Chinese society at that time, which often introduced food binding practices, where high status women were often binded within the houses, their foods were bound within the houses. So they are not just Chinese travelers. Or Portuguese also accounts about the Vijayanagara Empire, which was in the 16th century, where women were often enjoyed high status and comparatively better visibility than the European or other counterparts. So, but after the certain invasions and some invasion from such invaders who did not like had very strict practices and view women as lower parts of the society. When they invaded, they ruled over India. They imposed their ideologies, and I believe if British did not come to would not have come to India, then it would
Kashmir,
not have been removed. Ah, I got it.
your time is up.
Okay.
So, do we have the next speaker? please raise your hands. Nobody wants to go next? Okay. Okay, we have Hariom. Hariom, please tell me which motion are you going to do?
So I am against the motion. I will be opposing the colonialism effects on the feminism.
Okay, sure. Just a minute. Let me set up the timer for you.
Hello, am I audible? Hello,
Yeah,
hello.
just wait for a minute. I'll set the timer for you. You can start speaking now.
When we see the British colonialism, it does not actually supported the colonialism, but actually it delayed the colonialism, because we have seen the movement which was growing in India was particularly individual movement growing in India, and this particular movement only held the British accountable and forced them to make law on the colonial history, especially when we speak of Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, or we speak of Sati Pratha abolition by Raja Ram Mohan Rai. They were the individual activists and was not supported by any British activist. It actually just helped them to get recognition. And second point is, as a feminist Gayatri Spivak says, the colonial masters was actually surpassing the voice of the Indian women. So how the same colonial master could help in getting the rights for the women in India? And second point is, the factor that British in used in India was actually against the women. In the case, they blocked the universal adult franchises for the women. They blocked organizational structure for the women. They blocked multiple others via legal, so that they can't challenge the British authority. So the only point they use is, we are uncivilized country and we are not going to have a feminism. We are not having a female rights in India. But basically, this was their argument, so that they can curb the control on the Indian political system and they can rule India over a long period of time. We have seen that during older age, also during the Bhakti movements, India was slowly reforming from patriarchy to a more nuclear society, and women were getting rights. Even in other parts of world, there were patriarchy practice, and slowly at the same point of the time, every part of the world was leaning towards the female rights. So it is just a vague argument to say that British actually helped feminism in India. They did nothing except making it more slow and making it, you may say, making it more difficult for Indian women to get right. That's it, my point.
Okay, Hariom, are you done?
Yes, yes, yes.
Do we have the next speaker in line? Shashwat, actually, unfortunately, until and unless we have all the opening speeches, we cannot proceed. Yeah, okay. So, Yuka Sai, do you want to speak next?
Yeah. Am I
Okay.
audible?
Which motion are you going to be speaking for?
Against the motion.
Okay. Okay,
So,
so please, just a minute. Let me set the timer. Okay, please go ahead.
firstly, I wanna really say that the motion within part, they said really great about the Sati Pratha and stuff. But I need to really clarify you on that. Sati Pratha was then part of made by Baptist missionaries. Sati Pratha was really 0.00 0.00% in Bengal region in India, and it was really raised by the Baptist missionaries to make Indians feel inferior, that their culture is too devastated in the woman's perspective. So to make ourselves weak, and then to understand that without them we cannot do anything of that sort. Also, I need to mention that we also have the great philosophers like Gargi Devi or many other like Andala and also many who fought for rights. I mean, sorry, who fought for reality, not for rights. Indian women were not fighting for rights, but they are fighting for reality. Women's over the British, I mean, before the colonialism, were thinking more about not just about rights, they were thinking about reality, the so-called liberation and all that stuff. But after the colonialism, we got into very inferior thought process. We have been thinking about ourselves more, and we are just confined to the rights. We are not thinking of out of things like about reality or stuff. We are also about, let's say, we need to really redefine the meaning of feminism. Feminism is not just about competing with men. Feminism is something really, I mean, something beyond the things, because men is always devastated. Men thinking process comes from the wrong point, and the point is like the war and the woman goes in the same point, and men is the core of that. So we cannot, or the women cannot come with par with men, because men is always devastated. So the point that feminism is about is wrong. So the Vedic philosophies refer the feminist in the different way. So women's in that time seen reality over rights. So that's the whole point I want to clarify.
Okay, so are you done?
Yeah.
I just like to clear out the definition of feminism. Feminism is basically the equality of the sexes. That is it. That is the definition. So I hope like a few of you were having problem with the definition are clear now. Okay, so do we have the next speaker? Please start raising your hands. Yes, Chandan, I said the definition of feminism is nothing but the equality of the sexes. That is it. Okay, do we have the next speaker? Okay, Sabal, which side do you want to speak for? Sabal, are you there? Okay. Anybody who wants to speak now, please raise your hand.
Yeah, now can I speak?
Okay, sure. Which side will you be speaking for?
I am for the moment.
Okay, for the motion, you can start.
Yes. The status of women in India before 1947, if you compare from today's standards and values, was not at all part to what we would consider good in today's time. Okay. Indeed, in the Vedic era, we had greater liberties for women because there was, during the Vedic era, what was happening? During the Vedic era, we were actually experimenting. Because we were experimenting, there was much more liberalism in all aspects. So women were also getting rights. But just like what happened with Greece, Greece also produced great philosophies. Greece also produced greater and greater philosophies, but eventually, uh, but eventually it also eroded. Our society was also eroding in that direction. As we were approaching Puranic ages and beyond it, after invasions, the situation of women was getting deteriorated and deteriorated. So before 1947, situation of the situation of women was not that good. Okay, so now why I say if Britishers didn't came, the duration of the reforms would have immensely increased. I say so because Britishers were, in one sense, they were colonizers. Mughals were also colonizers. Turks were also colonizers. Our fellow Indian rulers are also colonizers. But these colonizers were coming from a different perspective. These colonizers were a product of Renaissance, the Renaissance movement. The Renaissance movement which happened in Europe, which was primarily based on the ideas of liberty, equality, uh, rational thinking and all. how were Britishers dominating us? They were dominating us on the basis of their intellect. They were dominating on the basis of how of their inclusivity. They were dominating us as a company. So these ideas, no, Britishers were not for reforming us, but their influence had a greater influence in putting us into a direction in which we see that there is also a possibility of a newer kind of society, which they definitely gave us. So, for instance, Britishers introduced the parliamentary form of government in India. Before that, India before that such a immense parliamentary form was not there. So this in these parliamentary discussions, they paved the foundation, the very foundation for the future reforms that happened after we got independence. For example, the 1929 Act. The 1929 Act expanded daughters' rights for property. 1937 Act gave widows inheritance laws and all. So they are some examples. And I said a lot of things, and I want to simplify it. And I want to simplify it in such a manner that Britishers indirectly.
Sabal, actually, your
pushed us
time is
also.
up.
Yes.
Yeah. So, do we have the next speaker? Please raise your hands and please be quick. We are running out of time. If nobody wants to speak next, I'll go forward with the rebuttal rounds. Okay. Okay,
I
Harman.
would like to-
Okay, which side do you want to speak for?
Yeah, I want to speak for the motion, although actually I was not clear about the side in the beginning because I thought that against the motion meant that I support colonialism, but I'm for the motion.
Yeah, for the motion means you support colonialism.
Yeah, I'm for the motion actually. I just wanted to say that I voted uh, in the
Okay,
wrong poll.
not an issue. You can start now.
Okay, so firstly, we are very clear that how in history we have seen women being oppressed in Indian history, the traditional history, how they were rarely given chances to rule the kingdoms and stuff. But at the same time, we see that Britishers came and they were like they helped bring revolution. But what was actually happening was they say that they brought feminism, but they actually exploited women to a very great extent. What be it economical, sexual, or cultural, it happened in such a way that it was a racist feminist movement from Britishers because Indian women were still getting exploited by them. So, what my idea is, what I'm trying to push here is that both because oppression was so visible from both Indian patriarchy and British colonialism, people were forced to confront it, and this made feminist ideas emerge earlier and more strongly, which is largely true if we think about it. See, dual oppression created an intense pressure, and because women were oppressed by both patriarchal norms and colonial exploitation and racist policies, this double burden made women suffering extremely visible to reformers, intellectuals, and general public, which simply led to stronger social reform movements and earlier political organizations of women, along with greater public discussions about women. And also, secondly, if we think about it, that nationalism and women oppression became a very big catalyst because during the freedom struggle, people began linking, oppression of the nation with oppression of women, and women became the symbol of the nation's dignity, the need to reform, the future of India, which simply made feminism a national priority, not just a women's issues. So feminism grew earlier and stronger than it might have without colonialism. And due to all this, Indian women entered the public space earlier because the fight was not only against patriarchy but also against imperialism. Women like Sarojini Naidu and a lot of other women who we know became political leaders, speakers, protesters, and this broke the traditional restriction and pushed feminism forward. So simply we see that we cannot say that only India the traditional India was the one who was exploiting women, or only the Britishers were doing it. Both of them came to such an extent that all the all the feminists in India were forced to throw their feminist ideas with greater and strong beliefs uh, to the whole audience, to the whole country, basically.
Okay, thank you, Amanpreet. Do we have our next speaker? I'll wait till late. I'll wait just one more minute. If nobody raises their hands, I'll go forward with the rebuttal round. Nobody courageous enough to speak up. Okay. So we start with the rebuttal rounds now. We have had 6 speakers so far. Shaurya, Shashwat, Hariom, Yukasai Nikhil, Sabal Sneh, and Harmanpreet Kaur. So all these 6 speakers will be going into the rebuttal rounds now. So among the six speakers, anybody wants to rebut anybody. Another thing to mention, you can only rebut people from the opposite side, as in if you're for the motion, then you can only have rebuttals for people against the motion. Okay. So do we have any rebuttals now? Nobody? Okay, Hariom, please go ahead. Just a minute. You spoke against colonialism, so you can rebut against Shaurya, Shashwat, Sabal, and Harmanpreet. Okay, you may go ahead. You will have 2 minutes for your rebuttal. I'll just set a timer. And your time starts now. Are you there, Hariom? Do you want to rebut? Feels like talking to a wall, guys. Really disappointing. Nobody wants to rebut. Okay, Hariom. Are you there? Am I audible? Like, is it my network error?
Hello.
Yeah. Do you want to go with your rebuttal rounds? Okay, looks like Hariom is having some problem with his network.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible. Am I audible?
Yes, Isha, you are audible.
Okay, Hariom might be having some network issues. So, anybody else wants to go first in the rebuttal round?
Am I audible to you guys?
You are audible, but your voice is
So can I
breaking,
start?
to be honest. Okay, you can start. Let me assign the timer.
So
Okay, start. Okay, anybody other than Hariom who wants to go for the rebuttal?
I just have one
Okay,
point.
Sabal.
Yeah, and it is that
Yeah, sure, you can.
like
That's the one point.
one contestant said that sati is a made up thing, but it is not. That's it.
Do you want to provide an explanation as to why sati is not a made-up concept?
Yes, because we have many instances, not only in Bengal, but in Varanasi also, like in the eastern part. And we have had a reason of why sati was actually a thing. Because like in these eastern parts, there was a property law which was Daya Bhag property law. So like if the husband dies, the wife also gets the property. So what the relatives did that just that wife doesn't get property, they burnt. So it was, in many cases it was a rational, and it is a well documented thing that.
Okay, is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Nikhil, do you want to go next?
On the same point again, as I said, Sati Pratha was only observed in the parts of Bengal. This was documented by Meenakshi Jain, a Padma Shri awardee, and also many other social people like Abhishek, you can, and also Jaishankar, and also from, I can't get his name, but he is a Supreme Court lawyer, and so all that they represented about Sati Pratha is about only Baptist missionaries advocated or really made that so violent in sense to make Indians feel inferior. So Sati Pratha was really a minute call or issue that was only observed in the Bengal in the 19th century. And yeah, if you have any supporting documents, please state that so that I can have a look over that.
To be very honest, I
Sabal, you cannot speak
sorry,
unless.
sorry.
Okay. Sure, anybody wants to rebut next? Sabal, just hang on for a minute. Shaurya, Shashwat, Hariom, Harmanpreet, do you guys want to rebut on anybody? Since Sabal and Nikhil have already rebutted me.
Yes.
Hariom, your network is pretty bad. So I'm not sure whether everybody can hear you. Even I myself can't hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, Hariom. You want to go ahead? Although your voice is breaking, okay. Anybody other than Hariom, Sabal, and Yuka? I mean Nikhil. Like Harmanpreet, Shashwat, and Shaurya, do you guys want to rebut? I can see Shashwat in the meeting. I cannot see Shaurya. Neither can I see Harmanpreet. Okay. Sabal, you can go on with your rebuttal.
Yes. So to be very honest, I really don't know much in depth about this topic, but whatever information I could gather from that, I came to know that it is mentioned in the Raj Tarangini, it is mentioned in the Prithviraj Raso, and yes, majorly if we take medieval chronicles, it is present in Bengal Mahakavyas. So yes, it is showing a bias towards Bengal, but it is also being shown elsewhere also. And also like there is a mention that it was only been observed by the Baptists and all, but it's not true. Ibn Battuta, who came here in 14th century, okay, he also witnessed sati in India. That's I want to say. But I also want to say that I do not have expertise, so I can't yeah.
Sabal, just an advice. You cannot start your rebuttal saying that I don't know much about this topic, but this is this. So please avoid that from next time, from next debates. Okay, so anybody wants to go next? Hariom, is your network okay now? I guess his network is still busted, so he most likely can't hear.
It is my turn, right?
Yeah, it is your turn, but your network is having errors. No worries, you can just go now. Okay, I've set the timer.
Uh,
Please start.
so one of our friends said that in in 1800, basically after 1900s, many British law were passed empowering the women. Basically, first point, after 1847, we had a Indian parliamentary law, and it was governed by the British Governor General, and other all were Indian. So it was passed by Indian law. Second point, even if some of the acts were actually initiated by the British, it was actually just on the paper. You cannot have a law without implementation and claim that we are actually having a feminism. We are increasing the female rights in India. Uh, So, 90% of British, if we were dependent on the British law, 90% of the women would remain stuck in the patriarchy forever. And one of other friends said that about the Ishwar Chand Vidyas, about the Sati Pratha matter. So most of the let's talk about the Sati Pratha. It was initiated by Raja Ram Mohan Rai. Let's talk about the child marriage. It was initiated by Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar and not by the Britishers. Let's talk about the child education. It was initiated by Jyotibai Phule and Savitribai Phule. And even others also. It was initiated by different Indians, and none of them had a actually, even about the age of consent, it was initiated by Fulmani Desai and all other activists. So I just needed to say that all this, what British did was just to make sure that they have a proper legitimacy, moral legitimacy to show to the world why we are ruling India, and not to actually uplift the women. There was no intention. There was nothing happened on the ground. It was just a British idea and mindset and propaganda to ensure that we are having a moral legitimacy to rule India. That's it.
Actually, your time is up. So save your points for the next battle.
Yeah.
I see Shashwat being active with the emojis and in the chat as well. So do you want to go with your rebuttal? Shashwat, are you there?
Actually, I was absent between for some time, so I did not. I don't really have what went on during that time.
Okay, sure. Do you want to go now for the rebuttals?
I actually wanted to go for the Sati Pratha, but I was not well. Like I wasn't listening well, so I don't know what was exactly said. But I can go for that.
Yeah, I mean, you need to do rebuttals or else it won't be a debate, right? I mean, only six
Yes.
of you had your opening speeches, so I want all six of you to be active in the debate. I mean, two are not in the meet; they went to sleep. So about the other four, so I want you guys to be active, right? So
Uh,
Shashwat, do you want to go next?
okay, I'll go.
Yeah, sure. Your time starts now.
Okay. The implication that Sati Pratha was abolished by British for the sake of the society or feminism is adventure. It's not exactly uh, right, and it cannot be equated with the point that feminism was the something that came out of the British colonialism. Because at the same time when they were banning British the Sati Pratha in India, the frequent witch hunting where they captured women who stand out or spoke against their husbands or within the society or wanted equality, they were hunted and burnt on the squares. As a calling them being accused of witches, and it can be often seen in the popular culture of Hollywood, because like if you have seen the movies like Jack Sparrow, you can see the Galileo's daughter was accused of being witch because she was studying science, and even many such facts are available. So it was at the peak hypocrisy, and I do agree with the points of Hariom that it was a method to control and justify their control over the society. But at the same time, I think British being on the India helped, because the before helped feminism, because before British, there were the rulers were very harsh in terms of women, and because of the British, they were removed from the Indian subcontinent, like the Islamic invaders and Muslim Mughal and other rulers. So I think in some ways British did play part in did help India have some place where ideas like equality and equity can thrive again. At the same time, they did not do this out of an moral implication. It was more of a control method.
Okay, Shashwat, do we have the next speaker? Yeah, Sabal.
Yes.
Sabal, you may go ahead. Just a minute, let me set the timer. From now on, you guys will be receiving 1 minute for your rebuttals. So after this, we'll have like 2 rounds of 1 minute each. Then we'll proceed with the closing speeches. Okay. So, Sabal, you may go ahead.
Yes. So, one thing which I am sure of is that literally, even before any European sailor coming to India, sati was documented by travelers and also in documents. And even if it is a problem of Bengal, even if it is problem of Bengal, it's still part of India. You can't say that just because it's limited to Bengal, it's not. It doesn't show anything about the rest of part of the India. So that is one thing which I want to say. And regarding just Vidyasagar, Ram Mohan Roy being Indians and they only reforming all those things, that I want to say that both Vidyasagar and Ram Mohan Roy had extensively received Western education. Western education in values, in Renaissance values like liberty, equality, they have received, which they actually.
Sabal, actually, your time is up.
Yes.
So, Nikhil, your time starts now.
Again and again, the Sati Pratha was only confined to a very, very minute area in the part of Bengal. And also, as you said, it was documented by some foreigners. The foreigners made it so vulgar way or in something so-called in the wrong way, wrong interpretation. These same scenes can be retrieved to the other parts of India like Ayodhya, Kasi, Mathura, where the temples were also devastated and all that stuff. The foreign writers also manipulated the text, and also, the so-called when the text is produced, the text is getting manipulated when it reaches to the audience, and that all that stuff is going to happen. So that's the point, that the Sati was manipulated. And also, we're coming to Rigveda. The Rigveda especially mentioned the Sati Pratha in a way that just go and sit.
Nikhil, actually, your time is up.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have the next speaker? Hariom and Shashwat, you both have not spoken in the second round of rebuttal. So do you guys want to go next? Okay, Shashwat, just a minute. Let me set the timer. You may go ahead.
I wanted to expand on the Sati Pratha point. He mentioned one of the colleague mentioned that it was recorded by historians, but it was actually not. It was very rare, and it was not a standard practice across the India or even in some regions of the India until unless more or less after it became more and more common after the 7th century when there were invasions towards the western side by the Arabic rulers, and it was mostly common within the rulers within the elite Kshatriya or the Rajput women who did more or less on their basis of, it was more or less self suicide because for preserving double quote honor. So it was not a common standardized practice within the society, and there are no tests so far, no text description with that explicitly mentioned that was largely quite popular within the Indian society at large scale before 7th century. It was even after 7th century, it was observed only in the small sections of the society.
Shashwat, actually, your time is up. Okay. So please save your points for the next rebuttal. I know Sabal is next, but since Hariom has not spoken in the second round rebuttal, so Hariom, you can go next.
So my point is, Sabal explained about how Renaissance and others idea influenced the Raja Ram Mohan Roy and others. But my point is, my friend, even if they influenced what was the intention of the British Empire. I actually agree with you कि it influenced the idea, but Britishers were not in favor of having a feminist right in India. They actually silenced the feminist right in India. Indigenous people who were speaking against the British Empire were specifically tied their mouth was shut down by the British Empire. Second point is let's example of Renaissance only. If it actually does, when do you think the first woman adult franchise women voting right came in the European countries? Was it during the Renaissance? Renaissance happens during 1500 to 1600 centuries. Was it during that point of the time the British or actually the European women got the right? There was no voting rights for the French women.
Hariom, actually, your time is up. So, with that, we end this second round of rebuttals. We'll start with the third round now. I see that Sabal has raised his hand. So,
Yeah, can I speak?
yeah, you can speak for 1 minute.
Yes.
1 minute
So
starts now.
yes, I completely agree. I completely agree that Britishers were not saints. They didn't came to India to reform us. Were not like let's go to India, let's go to that nation so far away, and we will reform the women of there. All I want to say is that they disrupted the system in such a manner. They provided us ideals in such a manner that they pushed the date, the launching date of feminism more sooner in India if they had not came. And it's only the topic that feminism without colonialism would Indian women have gained rights sooner or later. It's not that Britishers were good or Britishers were bad. If I completely agree that they came here to loot us, plunder us, and all, but the disruptions which they provided us in some manner pushed us more fastly in the direction of feminism. And regarding sati, I want to say that sati, witch hunting, these are practices of the Middle Ages.
Sabal, actually,
Yeah,
your
okay,
time
okay,
is
okay.
up. Okay. So, since Hariom was the one who spoke before Sabal, and he has been raised, like his hand is raised from like since before he spoke. So, please go after Sashwat. Okay, Nikhil, you may go next. Nikhil, are you there? Nikhil, am I audible? Anybody from the okay, I am audible. Okay, looks like Nikhil is having network issues. So, Shashwat, do you want to go next?
Yep, I can go ahead.
Okay, sure.
Uh, I wanted to say that in terms of the feminism existing in India, I think I agree with the Sabal on this point to some extent, but I do disagree with some of the points about Sati Pratha and other cultural practices because I think this is mostly because of due to the lack of uh, factual or academic knowledge that Sabal has. But I do agree that if British did not invade India, we would have been under the rule of the invaders that were already ruling the India since in 17th century. Marathas actually lost the Battle of Panipat, and quite a much it was going to be it like those earlier rulers were going to would have still ruled India if British did not come or took over the power vacuum that was created. And I think due to that, even India as we know today would have not even existed if the British did not come, and we did not have any common enemy to fight against. And I think these factors combined increase the chances of coming of feminism in India early.
Shashwat, actually, your time is up. So, okay, we have Nikhil next. Sabal, unfortunately, you cannot speak another time since all three of the rounds of the battles are done. Okay, Nikhil?
Sorry for the inconvenience. The point is, uh, as the previous member said, the India would not be exist if the British wasn't there, and that was a very very vague statement, I guess, because India would have get feminism or any of that sort in a way back where compared to now, because we right now are still fighting for the basic amenities of women which is a very in case, we would have get the feminism rights in the way back if the British wasn't there at all. Yeah, that's the whole point I want to say.
Can I
Okay.
speak?
Akhil. Okay, Sabal, you have 21 minutes. Sorry, 20,
Yes.
21
So,
seconds. Go fast.
yeah. So, bro, I don't think so, because who were ruling us? Mughals were ruling us, kings were ruling us, and whole of their modus operandi was that was based on not, I won't say discrimination, but classism. Okay, and in that, and it was such a classism that women were at the bottom of such a system.
Sabal, unfortunately, 20 seconds are up. Okay, so is Hariom in the meeting? Because he is yet to speak in the third round of rebuttal. Okay, Hariom, you can
So
go ahead.
can I go? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So my point is, as Mrs. Gayatri says, the colonialism is a double colonialism is a double. You don't uplift the woman by putting another into the boot on their neck. Okay, saying that feminism was brought actually, or is accelerated actually by the British, is saying like white man is saving a brown woman from brown men. So it is a hypocrisy actually. They what they did was they actually did a so-called selective feminism, where it actually suits them and not actually what it was. And even if you do a colonialism, there should be a greater societal backing to it. What British did, even if they passed the law, was a greater
Hariom,
societal.
unfortunately, the time is up. So please
Okay,
address
okay, fine.
whatever rebuttals you have in your ending speech on a conclusive note. Okay. So Shashwat, unfortunately, you cannot go next like as a rebuttal, but you can go next in the closing statements. Okay. So we'll be starting with the closing statements now. The closing statements will be of 2 minutes each. Okay. So who wants to go first? Is it? I won't let Hariom go first because he was the one who went last with the rebuttal. So do we have somebody else who wants to go first? No, Hariom, I won't let you go first in the conclusive statements. Okay, Shashwat, you can go ahead. Just a minute, let me
Okay.
set the timer. Just a minute. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I think the conditions of women predating the 10th century were much better in India, and they went downhill after the invasions and monarchies and other stuff that happened around that century, those centuries. And my point will be my proposition that British actually allowed feminism to come prosper earlier in the India is not based on the what British thought or what someone before thought. It's based on the conditions that were created because of the colonialism that helped and united India and moved towards such an ideas early compared to the other areas, regions in across the world. So my point is, before British, we were under a rule that was exploitative and very controlling in terms of women and certain sections of the society. And before British, the movements that were arising across the India to regain control of the region were pushed down from foreign invasions and continuous invasions, and there was a power vacuum that were taken up the British. Then British, when ruled over India, then after some years, whatever they did some good. They did mostly bad to us. I don't agree, and I also agree with the points of the Hariom that they did it to control us and create a perception across the world of us being uncivilized. But at the end of the day, in 1940s, when they went to war, then we got weakened. We could actually rise up and create a society where we are democratic and liberal as a society. And I think that was one of the reason we gave women voting right even before the Western counter of like nations like USA gave voting rights to the women. We gave it much earlier in 1950s or 1947 itself. That was my closing argument.
Okay, thank you, Shashwat. Do we have the next speaker who wants to give a closing statement? Come on, Sabal, Nikhil, Hariom. Do you guys want to proceed with our closing statements? Okay, Nikhil, um, just a minute. Let me set the timer. Okay, go ahead.
Firstly, I want to clarify that the colonialism is not confined to Britishers. The colonialism confined to the Mughals and also their stuff, and also about the closing statements to women. The rights later without colonialism is historically sorry. Sorry.
Is that all? Or did he leave the meeting? He left the meeting, right? Okay, he might be having network issues. I'll let him speak again. Okay, Sabal, do you want to proceed with your closing statement?
Yes. Agreed.
Just a minute.
Totally.
Just a minute.
Yes.
Just a second. Okay, start.
Agreed totally with whatever Shashwat said, and I just want to simplify it in such a manner. Like, we are talking about Mughals, we are talking about the Britishers, we are talking about Turks, we are talking about Indian kings, we are talking about tribals, we are talking about them. So, what actually happened? The thing which happened was that we transitioned from a feudal society to a more democratic modern society. This thing, uh, this is the thing which. So, what happened in the feudal society? Feudals were controlling us. We didn't had much rights. We didn't had much uh, platforms to voice our injustices and all. So Britishers really helped us to in transitioning from a feudal society to a democratic society. How? British were a great force. British were a great force, not in a moralistic sense, but in their power. And our freedom fighters, in their opposition to Britishers, and in their opposition to Britishers, saw what is actually our weakness. They saw that our weakness is that we are lacking in education. Half of our population, which is the women, they are not that much they are not that much sashakt. What They are not having that much strength to oppose the thing. They saw that our society is fragmented. They saw that there is one princely state here, there is one princely state there. If Britishers had not came, this whole the probability of India being these all these freedom fighters getting together, all these freedom fighters uh, fighting for a common goal of Bharat Mata, it would have been very much less. So that I want to say. Yeah.
Okay, Sabal, your time is up. Okay, Nikhil, is your network all right now? Nikhil, are you there? Never mind. Hariom, are you there?
Yes.
Hariom. Yeah. So, please start with your closing statement.
So let me close with a simple, brutally simple statement. Okay, you cannot call colonial oppression an opportunity and then pretend it uplifted the woman. It's like thanking a thief for teaching you to lock the door and then taking all your stuff. My was about the 2 point. The colonialism created the condition for the women progress, and that Indian monarchy suppressed the women and nothing would have British. First of all, if colonialism truly created the condition for liberation, then why did they silence the voice of women and block the women political participation, kept Victorian gender law in their own country for centuries? The British did not create a feminism for condition; they created a bureaucratic silence. Second argument is yes, about the monarchy statement. Yes, some of the monarchy was practical, but that was in their England too. That was there in the Britain too. And even if you see the Indian was totally disfragmented till the time British actually arrived in India. There was not any central ruler or monarchy ruling the India. So when you see the different parts of India, there were actually the matrilineal society in India blooming in the country, especially when you see the northeastern part of the India or other part of the India. Many people were writing before about the feminism before the British came. We have seen the Bhakti movement and we have seen the Vidyasagar Widow Remarriage Act. When Vidyasagar was writing against it, the British were not established an empire in India. They were there as a British East India Company, and they were actually non-existent in the Indian political system as a ruler, but they were only controlling the others empire during that point of the time. There was a countless local reform movement challenging the caste and the patriarchy. This were not the British invention. These were the Indian movement, Indian voices, and Indian pressure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hariom. Nikhil, do you want to go next?
Sorry, the network is so flickering here.
Yeah, I can understand. No worries, we can go now. Like, go next.
So the history clearly shows that women were in India were advanced despite colonialism, not because of it. But real gains of after 1947 are about education, political rights, and property rights and healthcare and so on. But they were all made by Indian people, not merely the British people, so-called British people. And also the colonism interpreted in India own reform traditions and replaced their own rules and served the empire, not the women. And if anything, independence, not colonism, is the point. Colonism doesn't make anyone liberated in the whole essence because it's all the so-called caged up thing. So yeah, that's the whole point I want to.
Okay, thank you, Nikhil. To the people who have raised hands again, Hariom and Sabal. Well, I do appreciate your enthusiasm, but the closing statement is the closing round of the debate. So it does not mean that the debate must be closed. Like the Google Meet is going to be closed, but you can shift the discussion on this topic or the debate on this topic to WhatsApp. Okay. There is a WhatsApp group. I think all of you guys are there. So please continue this debate over WhatsApp while being respectful. Okay. Anybody who's not respectful will be thrown out of the group without any notice. Okay. So with that, I'd like to end this session. Today's debate reminded us that history is not inevitable. It is shaped by context, power, and agency. Whether sooner or later, the struggle for women's rights in India reflects both indigenous resilience and colonial entanglements. Thank you for bringing your voices to this dialogue. This is where argumentation meets diplomacy. Just a minute. Okay. So, this is where argumentation meets diplomacy and every idea gets its day in court. So, on behalf of ITM Diplomatia, thank you for being part of this journey. Until next time, keep your minds in motion. Okay. So, since this is a bi weekly debate, we are going to conduct another debate, most probably in this month itself on 29th, if we do not have anything else planned. So, please stay tuned and get ready for your quiz too. Okay. Best of luck and good night.
Good night, man.
Yeah, right.
Good night.